Good morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I am your host, Stacy Brown.
Peace and love, everybody. Welcome. I'm Niele Anderson, and come on in. We got lots of headlines for you today, all about what's happening in Black America and how we feel about this government and pop culture and everything else. And Stacy, so I saw Orange G telling me that he was blocked. And he wants to give food stamps for an offering to,
Two
is
thousand
it
dollars worth.
$2,000 worth? We're talking about the story that is trending. Marvin Wyan's chastising one of his members about her coming in the wrong line. Wasn't it the wrong line for an
Wrong.
offering? Wrong line. Yeah, but Pastor Wyan, not Pastor Winans, and the lady appeared on a news station in Detroit yesterday, and they set the record straight. And all I can say, Orangey, is church folks gonna stick together because yesterday Ricky Smiley came out supporting Pastor Winans and telling people to know the whole story before you come to your conclusions.
Oh my. See, Orangey, you asked for it.
I'm
But I'm
just
with you,
saying.
bro. I'm with you.
Church folks gonna stick together, okay? That's what we do.
Speaking of sticking together, let's stick with our producer and see what she got for us this morning.
All right.
We're just walking through the food bank line, about to get some free groceries because of the shutdown.
Today is only for federal employees and contractors from the federal government. I have never seen anything like going on like this, even with our regular food pantry. It's never been this many people.
It's overwhelming. It's mind-boggling. I myself work for the Department of Agriculture, so yes, and I've run into quite a few co-workers here.
I didn't think I'd be in a food bank line. I got a raise right before the government shut down. So we're kind of the opposite is happening right now.
I mean, it's really no words. It's like, wow, I can't believe I'm here, because you always thought that getting a government job or, a federal job, that's security. And it's not.
Oh, this is very important. I mean, with my rent due next week, I could take anything I can get. At this point, I haven't gotten a paycheck this month. You got to save every dime at this point. With rent, car insurance, student loans, those are not stopping. Gas, electricity, but this is a bit more flexible, so this is great. We're just walking through the food bank.
And among the many things that young lady said was student loans. And the one thing, as much as I criticize Joe Biden for what he did and what he left, the one thing that administration was doing that, in fact, Trump's allies was blocking and did block in court and other places, was erasing student loan debt. And folks want to again, you want to support this. Lauren says that Lauren Burke is watching, and I had a great time with Lauren last night on Lauren Live. I got to check her out in the evenings at 9 p.m. But federal employees on Capitol Hill haven't been paid this month, she says, and they are paid just once a month. This is outrageous, Niele.
Yeah, I mean, I know I saw a report this morning that the repo business for cars is up. And this is the highest amount of time that people have been behind on their car notes, like more than 2 months behind since 2009. Cars are being repossessed. You talk about people not being paid. Let's talk about the airport. I mean, and how I saw Rep Troy Carter out of Louisiana taking lunches to the airport workers yesterday.
Wow.
Because he said if they're not getting paid, the least that I could do is take them lunch. And so this is a huge problem. And then you talk about, feeding ministry food banks. This federal shutdown impacts them as well. So as they're servicing the community, they're recognizing that their funding is being cut, and they're trying to figure out how can they continue to serve with the lack of funding from governments, because we know the federal government is going to impact a lot of state programming. And
Yeah.
so trickle down effect is starting to be a thunderstorm.
Yeah, and Lauren again mentions that the SNAP is cut off as of November 1st. So it's those food lines, those pantry lines, and they're going to get a lot longer, and they're going to be more than just federal workers. They already are more than just federal workers,
Or
but
they might not have the food to give them
or they might not
anymore.
have the food to give them. Exactly, 100%. Which leads us, Niele, into our first topic. And folks, this is real. This is the most outrageous thing. This is the biggest theft in the history of America. Donald Trump, he has weaponized patriotism. He has hijacked democracy. He's turned the American flag into a ransom note.
Mhm.
And you degenerate ingrates who want to sit here and tell us that you support this, Trump isn't running the country. He's robbing it in broad daylight. The man convicted on 34 felonies, found guilty of defrauding New York out of hundreds of millions and found liable by a jury for sexual assault, is now shaking down the very nation he swore to serve. He's shaking them down for $230 million. He's bleeding America dry while the government is shut down. Families are going hungry, as we talked about. Seniors are watching their Social Security vanish. People, and we're talking about many whom that voted for this disgusting human, can't afford rent, can't buy groceries, can't fill prescriptions. Yet this con man is cashing in like the country owes him restitution for being caught in his crimes. He gave Argentina $40 billion. Yet what exactly has he given Americans aside from empty wallets, ice thuggery, and hate? He tore down the people's house to build a $250 million monument to himself. It's a dictator's dream right here on American soil. He burned through $35 million golfing, folks, while we talking about food lines. He spent $172 million on private jets for Kristi Noem and the DHS, even accepted a $400 million jet from a foreign nation. And according to Forbes, his wealth has exploded since he's taken office. They estimate that when he went into office, his wealth was at 2.3 billion. Now it's at 7.2 billion. Folks, this isn't governance. This is organized crime and a MAGA hat.
So yeah, the Justice Department, he's seeking Pam Bondi to pay him $230 million, and we know that she is his former attorney. And so I think a huge issue is how he has turned this government and all of the offices into the Klan, and how they disseminate and work are based upon his bidding. And so that is a huge problem that we have to figure out how to fix, because that's the big problem. The reason why he's able to take all the laundry list that you just listed, is because he has turned this government into his corporation. And so the question is, how do you reverse what he has done to our government to allow him to gouge, to steal, to take? And not just him, but his family and his kids, husbands and wives, because Jared Kushner is one of the biggest thieves in the White House. And so there's so much going on. I think the bigger question is not what he's taking, it's about how he's taking it. It is because he has hijacked our federal government.
Can you imagine, Niele? Just imagine for 1 minute anybody, and I'm going to keep it black, a black man. Could you imagine? Let's just put somebody on the presidential level. Of course, there's only one person we can that was black. Imagine Barack Obama getting charged and convicted of 34 felony counts. First of all, if that were to have happened, the guy would never have been able to run for president again. Let's keep it there. But let's hypothetically think about this black man convicted 34 times and all the other stuff, like you said, the laundry list I listed. And then he's saying, I want $230 million from you people.
I mean, and I think that even, like just the whole concept of not the 230 million and flipping back to we're in a shutdown. And think about
during the shutdown too.
the time he's asked, the timing of when he's asking for $230 million is when federal workers, we just saw they're looking for food at food banks. You have student loans, Social Security, people losing their SNAP, not just losing SNAP, but during the holiday season. We're talking about Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's. People are not going to be able to even enjoy their families and buy Christmas gifts. We're talking about the military. And he's asking for $230 while millions of Americans are suffering. Affordable Care Act prices, premiums are about to skyrocket the 1st of November. And he's asking for $230 million.
He's going to get it. Let's not play games here. He asked for it, and he's not going to get a penny less.
From
They're going to give him.
Yeah. I mean, and the American people are suffering. And the funny thing about it is, I saw a video yesterday of a lot of MAGA supporters didn't even know the difference between the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare. There's no difference. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
And they don't know. And their explanations of the difference between the two, I mean, they're mind-boggling.
Yeah. So when folks want to get on here and talk about, well, those immigrants, my tax dollars, what about the 230 million? What about the 40 billion to Argentina? What about the $172 million for a private jet? Wouldn't you rather the immigrants, which is not true, they're not taking your tax dollars, but if it was true, wouldn't you rather that than this? I mean, it's just, and the way that they are going about, we've already talked many times how they're going about the cruelty, the inhumane way they're going about it. And folks want to support that. It's just really, it's a sick mind that supports that. I'm sorry, y'all. That's what it is. It's what it is. And that's the bottom line. And I'm agree with ONG. He says it's U.S. Supreme Court along with Merrick Garland. Don't forget, Merrick Garland is chiefly responsible for what's going on. And Jack Smith. And Jack Smith is now under investigation. I think, did he get indicted yet? He's going to be indicted if he hasn't. And he's the one person, the one revenge that Trump is taking out. I don't mind. Jack Smith should be behind bars. So should Merrick Garland. They should both be behind. I don't care about them. Take them away. Put them away, Trump. I don't care. I'm behind you on this one. Because they're responsible. They're just as much responsible for all of this as Donald Trump, as Stephen Miller, as Russell Vall. They're just as responsible. They're equally responsible in my view.
Well, I mean, America has always gone along with the systemic thread of racism in this country, whether you are a progressive, whether you are a moderate, or whether you are a Republican. And so if you're talking about putting Jack Smith and Merrick, I mean, you're gonna have to do a lot more white people than that. I mean, just to
he mentioned those two, so I'm like, yeah. I mean, no, he mentioned it, so I'm with them on that.
Yeah.
And you're right, because listen, I said Biden did this whole student loan. Biden can go with them. Biden can go right there with them. Like you said, there's so many more that can go with Smith and Merrick Garland, and Joe Biden is right up there in my book. So yes, you're right. You're absolutely right, folks. Here's a bit of I guess you could term it good news, but we'll see how it all turns out. Republicans, they haven't been negotiating an Obamacare extension, but according to Politico, they're getting ready to do so. There are discussions around how to structure and advance an extension of key insurance subsidies before the end of the year. Leaders on Capitol Hill, Republican leaders that is, are quietly ramping up talks within their senior ranks and with White House officials over how to structure and advance a potential extension of key Affordable Care Act subsidies before the end of the year. That would be huge, and that would be a time where I would have to then applaud Hakeem Jeffries, which I don't do often, if at all, and Chuck Schumer, which I don't do often, if at all, because they did this. They have so far held the line on our health care, trying to protect our health care. And the fact that Politico is now reporting that Republicans are saying, oh, senior Republican leaders are now saying maybe we should at least extend it for a year so we can reopen this government. That's a
Well,
big step.
well, what's happening is they're going back to their districts and they're having to confront their constituents. And their
Mhm.
constituents are complaining to them, threatening their vote. And so that's why they're doing it. It's no other reason but that their constituents are calling offices because I mean, although you see no headlines, the American people are pissed off. I think the No Kings rally showed you that. Their
Mhm.
offices are getting blown up. I'm blown up by phone calls. Let me be clear. Phone calls.
Yeah.
But also at these town halls,
Yeah.
these
Gotta
people
be
are
careful.
pissed off. Even the
Yeah.
people that voted for them, even MAGA, they're getting letters in the mail talking about premiums going up. They're getting letters in the mail talking about their SNAP is going away. And let's not forget, people who receive SNAP, they're all not unemployed. There are a lot of people who
Mhm.
work every day that receive SNAP benefits just to help them get along. All right. So that's what this is. This isn't like they've had a change of heart. No, they're concerned about keeping their seat. And I think it's important to know to put in perspective what's going on as we look at the 2026 midterms. Now, according to the latest campaign financing files, House Democrats have outpaced Republicans by about 5 million. And that's at the end of Q3. So this is a sign that their efforts to flip the House in 2026 it could be successful. And so they have outpaced Republicans in the third quarter. However, the Democratic National Committee has just under 15 million in cash compared to Republicans who have 84 million in cash. So
Oh,
although they
that's okay.
outpaced them by 5 million, they still got a long way to go. But to this story that you're talking about, and you know them outpacing them this last third quarter, it shows that something is happening, right? I mean, that's why you see Donald Trump eager to have like states like Indiana, North Carolina redistrict, right? We saw
Mhm.
yesterday North Carolina picked up another seats because the Senate, the Republican Senate voted for it. So there is a fight. Republicans are worried. And so when you look at the story that you just talked about, it speaks to Republicans being concerned about
Mhm.
their seats come 2026.
And those redistricting efforts, and what they're doing, though, doesn't that, Neil, kind of quell their fears a little bit that we don't really have to worry about our constituents because we are locked in because of the redistricting and stuff. We got those seats anyway.
Well, it doesn't matter. Remember a few years, a few midterms ago, they thought that there was going to be this big red wave, and everybody was
Right,
talking
right,
about the red, and wasn't no red wave. And
right.
so I think that the Republicans are very cautious. That's why they're trying to double down and trying to build the stack the house so that just in case we lose this seat, we've already stacked redistricting in Indiana, North
Mhm.
Carolina, and Texas, right? And so, what'll be interesting also to see is what other Democratic states decide to do their redistricting. Because as of now, California is the only state.
So when they say, for instance, that graphic that Greer just put up, it says some sort of 10-4 seat, whatever. And Nancy Wall is saying that, but the redistricting can still not vote in the way they want. It
Hmm.
doesn't guarantee. It's just it kind of
Right,
puts them in the driver's seat to get that seat, right? It
right.
doesn't
It puts
guarantee the
yeah.
seat, right?
Right, yeah, because they what they do is they build the maps to where like if it's a Democratic seat, they expand the district to where it might be in rural white America to kind of water
Rural.
it down. Or
Mhm.
either they will remove a seat, which will push two Democrats to run against each other. So they're either expanding the district to where you'll have more white MAGA voters, or they're either stacking the district to where it'll force Democrats to have to run against each other who once had
Mhm.
their own districting, which you see what is happening in Texas with certain congressional seats.
Yeah, and the other part, RNG mentions too, wait till the tariffs and other parts of the big ugly bill kicks in. That's a problem. And David Youngblood mentions, and I wonder what if anything they're going to do about this because already some are seeing that their premiums, they've gotten, some states
Mm-hmm.
have gotten their bills, if you will, for January, that's went from $300 a month to $4,000 a month. Now, if they make a deal with these subsidies, is it too late for those people, or does, I guess January, because they have to set their rates by sometime in November 15th, I believe they have to set their rates. Does
Mm-hmm.
that help? I guess the subsidies, I'm just trying to talk it through, Niele. The subsidies brings down that 4,000 back to 300 or somewhere around 300 a month.
I'm not sure, and I can guarantee you, Congress doesn't know either. I
That's
guarantee you, they don't
reassuring.
know. They don't know. They don't know. You'd be surprised what they do, but most importantly, what they don't know that's happening around them. But this is not funny, but it's a little tickle inside. Dr. Maryland says soon people are really going to eat their cats and dogs.
Oh God, they're
Um,
eating the dogs. They're eating the cat.
right, or either we gonna go back to good times and everybody gonna be afraid to eat the
Red party.
meatloaf.
Oh
Everybody
God.
gonna be afraid to eat the meatloaf.
Did
You
they
know
ever
what I'm
eat the
talking
meatloaf?
about? Go back and watch Good Times.
Did they ever eat it? They didn't eat it, did
They
they?
didn't eat that meatloaf. And then the lady was offended. She was like, I would never give y'all dog food. I wouldn't do that.
Oh snap! You went good times. Temporary layoffs. These layoffs ain't temporary though.
Man, yeah. I mean, and that's what we have to pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? He wants 230 million. We're in a shutdown. And there's also a report that the Treasury Department told their employees not to show any more pictures of that demolishing of the East Wing. And now you're seeing exactly what the East Wing looked like, because people now are going and posting their pictures from holiday parties or visiting the White House. And that whole East Wing is where visitors are received when they go and visit the White House. It was like a really beautiful place to see during Christmas time. It was where the First Lady's office was. And so he just,
Yeah, like I said, you're right with the good times thing, because and so Paula said that was her favorite episode. And again, we have become, speaking of good times, easy prey to rip off from this dictator. Um, a January 6th defender. Get this. See, we talked about pardons yesterday. A January 6th defender who was among those pardoned by Donald Trump was arrested for making a, quote, credible death threat against House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Christopher Moynihan, a 34-year-old from Clinton, New York, was charged with a felony count of making a terroristic threat. But here's the rub, though, Niele. They let this guy out, I think it was like on $500 bail. I mean, I think he only had to put up $500 for his bail.
You know, and think of the call, like, but I think of like the security factor, how these congressional members have to, now get security, because that you are living in a under a government leadership that is not going to protect you unless you're MAGA or Republican, or unless you kiss the ring. And so it is just such a volatile time to be a servant in this country. It's such a volatile time to want to stand up for the American people, because Donald Trump is sending out videos defecating on everybody that wants to do the right thing. So this is a very scary time. You look at this guy and then you think about all the January 6ers that are allegedly within the ICE, right? Knowing that they have no formal training. They probably haven't even been deputized. And they're giving the right to go out and chase people like slave catchers. And so this whole story, speaks to something that is much more sinister, gross, and reminiscent of how white folks used to treat people of color, back during slavery and civil rights, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, and all of the above. And it's like, what can we do? What is the recourse? It's like we sit up here, we're frustrated, we go off on the MAGA people, but it's like, what is a tangible way to deal with this? And I think the only recourse we have is, the first step is 2026 midterms.
Well, Paula Moore says, the Lord is my German shepherd. Wait a minute.
I
But
need
by the way,
to.
I gotta stop. I can't believe she wrote that. that's that's hilarious, and she put all those laughing emojis next to it.
David Youngblood said ICE is filled with KKKers, three percenters, and Proud Boys. 100%. I think that is the biggest demographic of what ICE is. It is the January Sixers.
Somebody mentioned Ben Carson as a successor to Trump. That would be, you know what? Let Ben Carson try any of this. They will quickly show him he's black. They will quickly. So I would love for Ben Carson to be in that position. Then, if that's the case, because they will. Oh yeah, it's that line, that German Shepherd line. Greer says it's from Good Times. It was the dog food episode. The Lord is my German Shepherd.
Oh, that's where that came
that's
from.
where that
Okay.
came from. But this pardon of these January 6th again, he's not the first one, and safe bet to say he won't be the last one to be that will get in trouble again. That's what they are. These are criminals.
Right. And I mean, like, even like all of these headlines, I thought about like, I think, Donald Trump is using Puffy as a headline. I don't think any of the things that are being said, like, we talked about yesterday about, will he pardon him? And then, as the day progressed, then it says that the White House got mad, and then it's like, no. I just think he just uses black people. He treats black people, and we're like his pawn, and it's up for us to figure it out. I hope some of us figure it out sooner than later. But black folks and are nothing but pawns to Donald Trump.
Yeah. And again, the pardons we talked about yesterday. I wanted to give another example of who paid to get out. Elizabeth Fago gave $1 million to promising her the Trump administration that she's willing to pay millions for his freedom.
Her son, yeah. Well, you talking about the lady whose son
The
got
lady
out?
whose son got out, yeah. So, and also a jury had convicted Trevor Milton on fraud charges. He's the founder of the electric truck startup Nikola. Sentenced him to 4 years in prison, and he and his wife then turned around and donated $900,000 to Trump's political committees, and they pardoned him, and they wiped out the $675 million in restitution that he was supposed to pay. So these pardons also come with, so if you're convicted of something, and a lot of times there are monetary fines to go along with your jail time that you're responsible for. The same we were talking about Diddy. There's the judge slapped him with, I think it's $500,000 in fines or whatever. So if he's pardoned, even that's wiped out. The Chrisleys was another one. Yeah, exactly, Greer. The Chrisleys was another example of, hey, we will fill your coffers if you pardon us and let us out of prison.
But I thought when Chrisley, the father, got out, I loved his response. He talked about the prison system, and it was his daughter that is MAGA. But I loved how he responded to his experience.
Yes.
And so I mean, it's like Donald Trump is who Donald Trump has always been, right? He's always been this person. And so, like I say, I don't know what we're gonna do, but we got to figure it out, because Christmas and the holiday season, it's not just gonna be bad for the individuals that are impacted by the government shutdown and everything that the federal government is doing. It's gonna be people out here who are able to survive. We're going to be impacted by it too. And
you remember yesterday when we were talking about the pardons, Greer had mentioned, which is very important for people to understand, that it's not necessarily Trump making these decisions, not by himself, right? The Stephen Millers and others of the world are making these decisions with him, and in a lot of cases for him. But as I mentioned, I'm almost forgetting my thought, but as I mentioned, there's a faction in the White House reportedly that says no, they don't want Diddy out. And as I mentioned also, I got a chance to speak to somebody very close to this situation.
Mhm.
So, which tells me if Diddy is not out this week, that means Trump was overruled by Stephen Miller and company. So it's an interesting thing, and I hope to be able to share a whole lot more um, as the days go by. Russell Vought is running this country, so and that is true.
I mean, like
Um,
I said, I think it's layers to it, right? You know,
mhm,
Trump has his focus on things. Then you have the Project 2025 focus on things, and then
mhm,
you have the Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller focus on things. So you have three. So it's not like they're all, feeding each other for their own self purposes. Donald Trump and his family are about world domination and real estate and greed.
mhm.
Russell Vogt is about Project 2025 and having a structural approach to all of that. And Trump is fine with it because his lineage, his daddy was a KKK. And so it falls in line to how he was raised. And then you have the whole Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller, because Stephen Miller is in the White House because of Steve Bannon. It was a twofold package. Steve Bannon got kicked out, but Stephen Miller stayed. But his alliance is still to Steve Bannon. And
Yeah,
so you have all three of these factors going on, and they're working together.
yeah, and Russell Vought, as Greer points out, is true. He's all about world domination. So what we're seeing here is what they want to do. Um, all over the world. What is what he'd like to see? Trump. They want him. He's the face of this. They want him to right now as the face of this, and you know that they're grooming others to take his place.
Yeah, but
So
the only thing is, I don't think, it's just like a Barack Obama, there's only one. And so you could groom however many people you want. But, there's something about the makeup of Donald Trump that everybody can gravitate to. I don't see that happening with the JD Vance.
she said Trump is Jordache jeans. You remember Jordache?
Hmm.
Remember all those came out in the 70s? It was Jordache, Sassoon, and
Hmm.
what was it was another one, but Vanderbilt, Gloria
Yeah.
Vanderbilt. Yes.
Yeah. So but back to the point, you could groom however many people you
Yeah.
want, but there's only one Trump, there's only one Obama, you know what I mean? So good
Mhm.
luck with that.
So, folks, what do you think of this? This is going to be this is interesting. Don Lemon, who has been on the ground in Chicago covering the increased tensions between citizens and federal agents resulting from Trump's immigration crackdown in the city, his coverage has gone viral, including his interview with the black man who shared that ICE agents forced their way into his home and detained him at an ICE facility just outside of the city. Now, after seeing firsthand how the administration's policies are directly impacting communities of color, Don is telling black and brown people that it's time, in times like these, they need to exercise the Second Amendment. They need to arm themselves. What do y'all think? What do you think, Niele?
Black men have always exercised their Second Amendment right. I think a lot of people don't realize that. And the Second Amendment right is not just for white folks, it's for black folks too. And I think that's what he's speaking to. And we have gotten so caught up in this progressive thinking to where, we don't need to abolish the Second Amendment. We need reform, just like we need immigration reform. And that's the problem. We don't need army guns on the
Right.
street. Army,
AK-47s
military.
and
We don't need military
AR-15s.
artillery on the street,
Mhm.
but we can own guns. And I think that is the conversation where everything just gets blown up into one. We just need gun reform. And like I said, I think a lot of black men own guns. I was talking to my friends a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about wanting to learn how to use a gun, wanting to purchase a gun. Because what we don't want to get caught up is when the revolution does kick off, we don't want to be the only ones without guns.
And David Youngblood says, I absolutely agree. He says, ask Ronald Reagan about black men being armed. And Nancy Wall says, and we don't need permission from them to carry a gun.
Right, right. And we shouldn't feel shame because we want to, and that doesn't mean that we don't want gun reform. You know what I'm saying? We want gun reform, but I think that Black people should, start considering, protection, because these white folks is crazy,
Yeah.
and they're more emboldened. They're more emboldened, more brave, and more vicious than ever before.
Yeah, these white folks are crazy. I got a kick out of you saying that. I'm sorry. I'm not mocking you.
They
I just got a
are.
I
No,
got a
they
kick out of you.
are. They're crazy. I mean, you talk about it, you know about slave catchers, but you see what's happening, and you're looking at your phone, and they was like, and you're like, these are slave catchers.
So Neo, so with that being said, when are you gonna stop giving change in dollars to white homeless men on the street?
I mean, I typically don't. You know what?
Oh, okay, there you go.
No. But let me just say this: I give as my spirit yields me to do.
That's
Okay,
just
so if I want to give to a white person, I will. If I want to give to a Black person, I will. It just depends on what I'm led to do based upon what I see in front of me. I don't see color when I see giving. I just see whoever is in need.
I'm messing with you because our producer says no to white men on the street who's
Oh.
homeless. She says
I
no.
don't. Yeah, I don't look at it like that. Sometimes it's just like something convicts you to do something.
Yeah.
I mean, to each his own.
I just had to throw that out there. RG says, may God help you if you come on my property. Your soul might belong to Jesus, but your butt is mine. He didn't say
That's
butt. I
funny.
said butt. Oh my goodness, folks. And what about this? So keep it light a little bit now, before we get into more headlines with Neo. A forthcoming biography about Tupac is shedding light on previously unknown tensions that arose during the filming of Poetic Justice in 1993. Author Jeff Pearlman, who is a pretty well-respected writer, and he's known for his thoroughly researched work, has penned Only God Can Judge Me, The Many Lives of Tupac Shakur. It explores the various aspects of his career and his life. But among the revelations that is getting people to talk right now, and I remember hearing this rumor back then when they were filming this. So I believe this is true. But Janet Jackson had not ordered, but argued that Tupac should get or demanded that Tupac should get an AIDS test before their scene. Remember the scene in which they had to kiss? And Tupac, according to Jeff Pearlman, was livid, and the set was tension filled from that moment on. He made it known that who the heck does she think she is? Her point was, well, and I don't get this part, Niele. I mean, I understand acting and stuff. I've been on sets.
And this is all alleged, right?
This is being reported in a new book by Jeff Pearlman. But I remember hearing these rumors back then. These wasn't quiet rumors. These was a lot of talk about this. And now I will say this: I never heard, and much time I've spent with the Jacksons, I've never heard this come up at all. So I don't know if it's true or not. This is Jeff Pearlman's response or his reporting. But Janet said, allegedly, according to Pearlman, that they're going to be exchanging saliva. And I'm thinking, you're acting. You're not doing all that, are you? And so she wanted him. She said because of his as he put it, that she said, his known history with women and stuff, she felt like he had so many sexual partners that he should have a AIDS test. Gria said she knew about this. It was like kind of out there back then, but now Jeff Pearlman is, I guess, confirming this.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, hey, a lot of people have a lot of things in their contracts that they want. Fun fact, I was actually an extra on Poetic Justice in the carnival scene. Yeah, and Tupac, and they were there. I mean, I didn't see any friction. Maybe you have heard something about that. But I mean, it sounds juicy. What's the name of the book?
It sounds juicy. It's the life of Tupac. It's called Only God Can Judge Me, The Many Lives of Tupac Shakur.
Oh, There you have it. I mean, Tupac had a that was just one episode, but Tupac had such a interesting life, you know what I mean? But how many people do you know that can shoot a police officer and get away with
She was
it?
fighting, but now she was married at the time to Renee Elizondo. And but let's be real. Let's not talk about her body count. And she's worried about Tupac's.
Well, at that time too, you have to put things into context though, and
Who?
who Tupac was and what was going on during that time. So I think also you have to go back in time in that moment.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, it sounds a bit much, but when Poetic Justice was out, Tupac was also in his prime, and there was a lot going on, and it was
Mhm.
a lot of I get around
I
was
get
a
around.
hit, and so maybe she knew things that a lot of other people didn't know. But you have to go back to that point in time in 1993 when Tupac had all the women, everybody, so you know
Well,
that's how
allegedly,
she felt.
and he
Alleged,
felt
like I
the
said,
same way because
allegedly.
no, no, what I'm saying is allegedly she had from both sides of both sexes a lot of extracurricular activity herself. So it's like the pot calling the kettle. Maybe she had the problem.
Well, he didn't ask for it; she did.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know, but but what's confusing me, and listen, she had to do the scene or whatever. She probably had every right to make such a bold and wild request. But what's getting me is the whole saliva part. Acting is supposed to be just that acting. You're not supposed to be swapping spit.
I mean, if you have a scene, and you kiss, there is a chance. If you have a love scene and you kiss somebody, there is an opportunity to where there is saliva swapped within the person.
Hmm.
That is a fair assessment.
Okay.
I'm not saying, yeah. I
I just
mean,
wanted
but
to clear it up in my mind because I'm thinking it's acting. Like I said, I've been on sets and stuff like that. But you're right. I guess when it boils down to it, there is that possibility.
yeah,
Close your mouth then.
when you kiss some, I mean, but we're talking about a love interest,
I
and
know,
that's
I know,
acting.
I know.
So you're not gonna
Yeah.
you have to make it's acting. You have to make it look real. So there is a possibility
Wait, do
that
it again.
you swap.
Oh
But
boy.
yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
Grit says I'm telling Shanae she can't have that audition. She can't go on that audition.
oh, yeah, because I mean, if you have a love scene and you're gonna kiss somebody, there is potentially saliva swipe. Now, I'm not saying now I have seen scenes. The more real it is, the more intense the kiss is, right?
Right,
So if
right.
they're trying, so yeah. Now I haven't seen people shove their tongues in other people's mouth. I
Hmm.
have seen it, but not regularly. But if you're
Right.
doing a passionate love scene, there is that potential.
Yeah, you could turn into Halle Berry and Billy Bob Thornton, right?
She might just be a little she might have just been a little extra with, But
Oh
Tupac at that
God.
time in 1993 was at his prime, okay? And he was a wild boy.
And like I said, so from what have been told, allegedly, Janet was just as wild, if not wilder. Um, and I'm not. Listen. It is what it is. Dr. Marilyn says exactly. Janet has a count, and Pac should have said, "Where's your hidden baby, Ella?" She didn't have a hidden baby. I
It
will say
sounds
that
like he
much.
did. It sounds like he did. I mean, I think that urban legend is always going to stick with her. You know what I'm saying about
Yeah,
that baby?
yeah. That was never true. That was never true. I can tell you that for a fact. It was not true. But go ahead, Neil. What else we?
Susan Lawrence, the white woman who shot and killed
Oh
AJ
Lord.
Owens in 2023,
Mhm.
she's been sentenced to 25 years in prison.
Ooh.
And I don't know if you remember the story called National Attention. And it also has a new Netflix documentary about the story called The Perfect Neighbor. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it's been trending over the past week on social media because of the in-depth story. And it tells the story and features police body camera footage, 911 calls, and interviews surrounding the case. And of course, AJ Owens is the mother of four. And she was shot through the screen door by this woman, Susan Lawrence. And so she's been sentenced. And if you want to know more about what actually happened, you should definitely check out the documentary on Netflix called The Perfect Neighbor.
Now, of course, is it state charges that she was convicted on?
It's state.
Okay.
Yeah.
State. That's where we at now. We gotta know. We have
right,
to know.
Because if it's federal, you know, you got to consider Trump. Yep. But hopefully her family will have some sort of justice. But I saw a clip and her mother was speaking about she's just sad for her grandkids because, you know, memories fade. And because they're so young, they might not, you know, and as time passes, remember who their mother was. And that breaks her heart. Yeah. But this is just another example of, you know, white folks, you are all white. Why? My question is, why are white folks so threatened by Black people? Why?
Chat, answer the question, chat.
You know, if that would have been a white neighbor with white kids, would she have pulled out her gun and felt so threatened? Like, why are they always so? And I think that's part of the trauma that we carry as Black folks. It's like, just why?
Yeah.
Why are we always the enemy or target?
Yeah, and there are folks who can articulate it a whole lot better than me, but the anger began when slavery ended. The anger intensified, I should say, not began, intensified when slavery ended, and it has not subsided, and that's the bottom line for me.
Yeah. Nancy says she certainly should have gotten a sentence. It was horrible. Crime fits the charge. David Youngblood says retribution. Dr. Marilyn says, I watched The Perfect Neighbor this weekend. Very sad. Yeah. And Nancy says, good question. And then Patricia says, I pray her family gets some monetary benefits.
Yeah. And Imaku says all of the lies that have been and are still being told about us.
Yeah, it really is. Fake fear by white folks. But moving on. The U.S. Department of Justice is still pursuing a case against Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fannie Willis. Now, this time they're prying into her trip to the Bahamas, and this is according to the New York Times. And so, you know, just like Letitia James in New York, they're going to find a way to bring some type of charges against her because of, I mean, Donald Trump was scared of her. I really believe that if there was
that was the case that he was afraid of. You're right.
If there was one case, I think he was more afraid of her than Letitia James because
Letitia was only civil. You got to remember that was only a civil case that Letitia James brought against.
But I'm just talking about dealing with a Black woman and having to fight this woman right here.
Yeah, that case had real jeopardy for Donald Trump because she was going to demand jail time.
Right,
he knew that.
Right, but and it's also, you know, her deliverance, you know, and how she came at him. It was just, you know, she wanted that smoke real bad, and so he is going to find a way to try and punish her if he can. And so go ahead.
And this is another example of somebody that Joe Biden left unprotected.
Yeah.
That pardon should have been automatic. She's another one of the long list of people, particularly Black women, like Letitia James, like Fonnie, like our girl in Maryland Mosby, and others. And he left exposed. He left them exposed. Again, he sat in that White House the night before Trump took office and told us we were in danger.
And so yeah, we gotta keep her on the prayer line. Orangey, why don't you call Fred Hammond and Bishop Winans and see if we can add her
RG doesn't have
to
any
the
words for them.
to the prayer list, okay? DM them and let them know we need prayer warriors out for Sister Willis. Um, and then I touched on this earlier, but it's true. It looks like North Carolina has forged ahead with cheating. The state Senate has approved a new congressional map aimed at helping Republicans gain an additional seat to help shore up the party's majority in the House going into the 2026 midterms. And so, it's like, what are the other states going to do? Is New York going to do something? Is Illinois going to do something? Is Maryland going to do something? Those are the states that come to mind off the top of my head. And it'll be in vain if California redistricts 5 seats, but nobody else follows suit.
Kathy Hochul said that they were going to do it in New York, but she talked about some procedure, what a protocol. You blow that up. You got to blow that up. Gavin Newsom wasn't having it. He wasn't trying to go through no long drawn out protocol procedure thing, because they're not doing it. And that's the whole thing. Again, you cannot talk about, oh, I'm going to stay and play nice while they are just flying fake helicopters and defecating on you. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't play that. Come on.
But also to the state of California, we did it in a fair way. Governor Newsom is letting the voters decide. So he did it the opposite of what Texas did. They just did it within the control of what they had in their state capital with their lawmakers. But in the state of California, we as voters are allowed to decide that's what we want. And so we are in agreement with it. Yeah. And that is what those white men in office are trying to do. They're trying to take away our power, our democracy.
Yeah. There you go.
And now let's head over to the pond, where the BBC reporters are no longer allowed to wear Black Lives Matter t-shirts in the newsroom. Now, the outlet director, Tim Davie, made the announcement citing that while the organization opposes racism, it must uphold strict standards of political impartiality. Now, he's calling the t-shirt gesture too political and not appropriate. How can Black Lives Matter be political? How could that be political?
So
when the statistics, but this goes back to what you were saying about Russell Vogt and like this white Euro world that they're trying to create. This is what is part of it. But how can Black Lives Matter be a political statement when statistics show that Black lives don't matter?
Yeah.
Especially to policing in America. It's not a political statement. It's a fact.
I love when Dr. Joni, she hasn't commented until now, and her comment is, what?
How is it a political statement? But see, that is being said from white privilege.
Yeah.
Because they it's just this white privilege and this air that they have that they don't relate and they don't connect because it doesn't happen in their world. They don't have to worry about, he doesn't have to worry about being a Black man like you. You are just as professional. You have just as much credentials as him. But if both of you guys are driving down the street and the sirens roll, you're going to have a different response than him. Yeah. And that's what we mean when we say Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
It's just an instinct that Black people have. If you and him are sitting, there was a story about Chick-fil-A. 4 police officers went into Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yes.
3 were white, 1 was Black.
Yeah.
The 3 white officers got free lunch at Chick-fil-A. The Black officer had to pay for his meal.
And Chick-fil-A now is apologizing.
But that's what I mean. That's what we mean when we say Black Lives Matter.
Mm.
We can go on and on and on and on to make you understand. Now, if you want to say we're getting rid of casual Fridays, we're getting rid of casual dress in the newsroom, I get it. But if you're telling me I can wear a Beach Boy t-shirt, but I can't wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, then that is racist. But if you want to tell me we're going back to business casual, no more t-shirts, no more, that's different. But for you to tell me that everybody else in here can wear a t-shirt, he can come in here in a Bruce Springsteen t-shirt, he can come in here and whatever, but I can't wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, that's racist.
All right. Niele has
I mean, it's just crazy to me. And guess what? If that happened there, don't be surprised in the newsrooms of CBS, ABC, CNN, that they start saying you can't wear political statements unless it's Donald Trump.
Yeah. Greer mentions, how about the Kiss Me I'm Irish shirt?
He didn't say that. He didn't say you couldn't wear that one.
Yep.
He just said Black Lives Matter.
Yep.
And he said, although we're not racist.
Although we're not racist. When you say that, you're racist.
Right.
things a racist will say.
And finally, the Obama Presidential Center is almost ready, y'all. It is. It's almost ready. Now, the Southside Chicago Center has an opening date set for spring of 2026. And the 19-acre campus will feature a sports facility, garden, events facility, and a world-class museum and library. Now, the foundation plans to engage visitors within and beyond Chicago, and the center will focus on the legacy of the first Black U.S. president and first lady. I can't wait for them to finish this because I'm just afraid Donald Trump is going to do something.
I was thinking. I was thinking that, but I think that when they finish it, he still may do something. We might see and I hate to say it this way, folks. I don't know any better way to say it, so don't come at me. But we might see a 9/11 style attack on the building there. It wouldn't surprise me. I hate to say it.
Well, I'm so glad PH Expat feels the way he feels. He said, I do not think you two are racist, but promote Black news. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, it's the Black press. We have to give you from the Black perspective. It's not Black news per se. It's from a Black perspective, and so many white perspectives. And gotta give you a Black perspective.
And it really is a difference because we're speaking from a Black experience.
Right.
And like when we talk about white privilege, that's a perfect example of what white privilege is. They're looking at the statement of Black Lives Matter as a political statement, and all we're saying is we matter. Treat us. If they get a free chicken sandwich, and we all doing the same thing, why you didn't give me a chicken sandwich?
Yeah, right. And put something on the sandwich too. Don't give me no dry sandwich.
So, it's just, being Black in America is, we have trauma. We have trauma that we don't even know about, that we haven't dealt with. And it goes all the way back to 1619. Right. It is the truth.
I'm trying to tell you, I don't have a therapist, but I need to look into one.
It is the truth. And
Sinead has me on the couch though. She has me on the couch. Probably not as much as she wants to have me on the couch. She probably says I should always be on that couch listening. Because she knows that unfortunately,
the trauma for us today comes from the reminiscent acts of what white folks have done to Black people in the past, and it is unbelievable that we are in the state that we are in today. We thought that John Lewis and Dr. King and Ida B. Wells and W.E.B. Du Bois and Frederick Douglass and Moses Harriet Tubman had paved the way for us to have an ounce of freedom.
Oh, shoot. Listen, RNG, we got Niele all riled up this morning. Don't you love it? Don't you
I'm
love it?
just saying, we thought in the state that we're in right now, it is not a racist statement. It is just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Let me tell you something that will make you feel a little better, Niele. And I have to tell you that you were right. I was wrong about something, and you know what that was? We talked about the WNBA and the salaries, right? And turns out I thought that and I said it emphatically that the NBA had divested all its interest in the WNBA, and turns out they had not. And it
Mhm.
turns out not only had they not, they still have a 45% interest in the WNBA. And so to that point, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, said yesterday that with the new collective bargaining agreement, he is guaranteeing that the WNBA will get a huge, in his words, a huge pay increase. He says that he has spoken and will continue to speak with the WNBA's commissioner.
Mhm.
But he says that they're currently getting 9% of the revenue. He says it's going to be a whole lot more than that. He says, I can guarantee you that. But he also said this. He says, with that said, don't expect that their salaries will be what's that word? Comparable is another
Mhm.
word I was going to use, but comparable to NBA players because he says the revenue is still not yet there to be able to give them those type of salaries. But they will see a huge bump in this new collective bargaining agreement. So at the very least, we're probably talking about rookie minimums going from where they are, 75,000 to probably a half a million or more. And we're talking about rookie contracts now. And we'll probably see superstars like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and of course the MVP herself. Uh, uh, oh gosh, what's her name? Why am I drawing
Angel
a blank?
Wilson.
No,
Angel
no,
Wilson.
no, no. The MVP, the best in the game. They just
Angel
won the
Wilson.
Aja.
Aja.
Asia
Yeah,
Wilson.
Angel. Yeah.
Asia.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
That's what
I
I
just said Asia. Yeah. They'll probably be the way he sounds, folks. Again, this is how I'm speculating that this is what it might mean for somebody like Asia Wilson. She will make in excess of $10 million on the court, not off the court, but on the court, uh, probably as early as next season. So we'll see. We will
said.
see. But those were bold statements by Adam Silver, and I thought I'd pass that along. And when I looked into it, and he mentioned it, Niele, and I said, man, I argued with Niele about the fact that the WNBA had no interest anymore. They still have a pretty big,
Mhm.
sizable interest in
Yeah, and
the
he
WNBA.
heard what was happening and what that commissioner was doing, and he
Yeah,
stepped
he
in
did.
as he
He
was
did.
supposed to. Because
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the org chart, it starts with him, and she's like here, and then WNBA is here, the NBA is over there.
Well, technically, she's supposed to be above him, but you're right. With that 45% interest and it's being the NBA, you're right. He had to step in, and this is apparently what he's doing because you can't go public like this and then retreat.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
good for the WNBA, and I agree with what he said as far as do not expect it to be players getting 20-30 million a year right now, but
Yeah.
but keep growing the game and the support. Listen, they got just as much fans now of people attending those games. They're selling out, and they're getting TV deals. So
Mhm.
the NBA wasn't always this league where they were making this type of money. They had to
Well,
build it.
maybe Angel Reese will come back now because is a certified Victoria's Secrets model now. She's an angel, and I haven't seen no basketball on her page since she walked the runway last week. So maybe this news will help her get back into the mindset of
Well,
basketball.
I think you're going to see a lot of that as the CBA is expiring. I think you're going to see a lot of the WNBA players not have anything WNBA related on their social media, which is to be expected. I mean, any league, if you're talking about whether it's Major League Baseball, who will probably go through the same thing after next season, a lockout. NFL players, NBA players, if
Mhm.
there's a strike or a walkout or a lockout, I should say, you won't see them promoting the game.
Well, I'm talking about even her tennis shoes, anything
Mhm.
athletic. What I'm saying is she is not into athletics. She still has Reeboks. She is in this model mode right now. That was
Mhm.
my point. She
Yeah,
likes, you could tell, like, how you have a dream and you want to check it off. Like,
right.
I am a Victoria's Secrets
You
angel.
could tell too. You're right, because the way she walked, even
And
after
just the
her walk.
pictures, she is loving that model life. She's loving that soft girl life. And
Yeah.
so, but I still love her in the game of basketball. So I do want to see her. And then we have the season coming up of the Unrivaled, right? That's
That's gonna
coming
be
up,
interesting.
and they pay huge bucks. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what the WNBA and probably the commissioner of the NBA knows that as
Catalyst.
well.
It's a
And
catalyst. Yep.
so he's like,
Yep.
we're at a crust right now to where it could be make or break, and they could
Yep.
just all go over to Unrivaled and push that up, and WNBA won't be around.
Yeah.
So
That's
all
why I
of
think
that's
this.
playing a factor into how
Yeah,
he's
I think
moving.
that more than anything is probably why there will not be a protracted either lockout or strike in the WNBA because of Unrivaled. That gives the players a huge negotiating advantage. So good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, I see that everybody still want to talk about I want to go back. David Youngblood said it is a political statement, as are most things said by a mouth, personal interest. So he thinks Black Lives Matter is a political statement.
Mm.
And then I think we had a couple more. Patricia said, too many whites. I monitor carefully how they move, and I hate that. Safety first.
Mm.
Expat says, as a white person, I love and appreciate Black views. It helps me get. Well, he says he loves and appreciates Black views. I think you know what? That helps you have a better understanding and respect for one's culture,
Mhm.
ethnicity, when you understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And then Expat says, I do miss Stacy's beard though. You had a beard, Stacy?
Oh wow. Wow, Niele, just until a
Big
couple
Cheese.
weeks ago.
Big Cheese says Angel Reese is very I can say it. Feminine. I can't say it.
Feminine.
Feminine. Yeah, feminine. And that's getting her brand deals. And then Orange say, speaking of the WNBA,
NBA.
why is it that bad built white women and bald headed white men talk bad about Angel Reese? Now
Oh
come on,
boy.
Orange. We had X-Pac going. Now
Oh
you just
boy.
come with but I mean, I think that's why we say Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, the beard is coming back. I just wanted to try a little, switch it up just a little bit. It's coming back.
That's
Don't
why we
worry.
say Black Lives
All right, a couple of black facts before we get out of here. On this date in 1963, nearly 225,000 students boycotted Chicago schools to protest the injustices of segregation. This day would come to be known as Freedom Day. So this is what happened back on this date in 1963.
Yeah, and then everybody was talking about that Michael Jordan interview last night. The WNBA did kick off last night, and we have some more games today. But I thought this was a good Black History
NBA.
fact. What did I say? The WNBA?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking about okay. The NBA kicked off yesterday, and so I thought this was a great Black fact. In 1950, Charles Cooper and Nate Sweetwater Clifton
Yes.
became among the first Black players in the NBA, playing their first games for the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks, respectively. And
There
so
you go.
that happened today, as well as more NBA games kick off tonight.
Yes, they do, including the one at Madison Square Garden, Orange, 7 o'clock tonight.
There we
Knicks
have
and the
it.
Cavaliers. Our Black-owned newspaper of the day is the Nashville Pride. It was founded on January 15th, 1988 by Dr. Larry D. Davis and Dr. Cynthia E. Hodge. Dr. Davis, by the way, was a professor at the historic Meharry Medical College, and they felt the need to fill a gap in Nashville. His vision was to create a source of news for the community that was positive, speaking to local issues and telling local stories. So check out, folks, the Nashville Pride for excellence in Black journalism.
Right. Patricia says, when you get out of your bubble, you do better. That is so true. But come on into the Black Press bubble. And our bubble can be found at BlackPressUSA.com. And that's where we bring you the latest in Black news and upliftment, entertainment. Anything you want to know about Black folks, Black news is right there at BlackPressUSA.com.
Yep, absolutely. And thank you, Dr. Marilyn. Some people can appreciate this. I'm kidding. Thanks, Dr. Marilyn. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.